Hey everybody, welcome back to Be Like Christ. This is definitely going to be a different video than we typically make on this channel. We do a lot of verse-by-verse Bible study. If you're not familiar with the channel, this video is going to talk about technology and how it relates to the church. Specifically in this video, I wanted to talk about a new technology that's kind of taking the internet by storm. That is ChatGPT, or basically artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence creating content for people. And specifically in this video, I just wanted to I want to run a test, see if this artificial intelligence could write a sermon that, I could get up and preach in a congregation and it would be passable and probably nobody would think anything of it. It's like, is it actually that smart? So what we're going to do is we're going to hop onto my ChatGPT account and I'm going to give it a prompt and we're going to see what it comes up with. So here we are on the ChatGPT account. The prompt that I gave the bot was to, quote, write me a sermon with application points using 1 Corinthians chapter 13. So here it goes. Now it's starting. My hands are off the keyboard. This is just the bot running, creating this outline for me. You'll see here that it's creating the introduction and all the bullet points. Now this isn't the actual sermon. It's just the outline of the sermon that it's going to write in the future. You can see that it's quite extensive. Gives you some information, notes for topics. This is some stuff if you're going to make this into a blog article you need for SEO. Now it begins writing the introduction of the sermon, goes through each of those outline points and gives you a paragraph or two paragraphs. You notice there that it gives you even some examples or illustrations that you can use. I prompted it to continue writing after it stopped for a little while, and it continues writing down on the bullet points. See, love is not arrogant. Obviously, 1 Corinthians chapter 13 is the love chapter. And so it's writing this sermon, very structured, and there's quite a bit of detail here. And I'll show you in a Word document. Okay, so here we are. This is the outline, completely produced by an artificial intelligence bot. We have some keywords. Those are going to be important if you need them for SEO on a website. And then here is the outline that it spat out. Classic 1 Corinthians 13 sermon, an introduction, then it talks about kind of the main points. Love, being patient and kind, doesn't envy, doesn't boast, it's not arrogant or rude. And if you look at number 2 there, love is patient, underneath that point, it gives you an explanation of patience and of kindness, examples of patience and kindness in everyday life, and then how to practice patience and kindness. So you kind of have your 3-point sermon there within that point of the explanation, going a little bit in depth, and then some application points. And it does that for all of the qualities of love that are found in 1 Corinthians chapter 13. So then skipping down now to the sermon, you'll see that it takes those bullet points and it basically writes you a paragraph or 2 paragraphs discussing each of them in more detail. And looking at this, is this something that I could get up in the pulpit with after reviewing it 1 or 2 times and add a few of my own little flares to it and present it in a congregation and not have anybody question whether or not this was something that I wrote? Probably. And any preacher who's been preaching for any amount of time could probably do that. One thing that's really interesting about ChatGPT is that a lot of I think almost all of the content that it produces can pass plagiarism tests. So for a preacher who wants to be lazy, this is safer than going out and finding a sermon outline that somebody else has produced online and preaching it, because somebody can Google those points and find the sermon outline. Right? With ChatGPT, though, they're going to have a harder time doing that because the bot is writing something that is semi-original. So this is what I got. Can ChatGPT write a sermon for you, write a Bible class for you? The answer is yeah. It's somewhat, it's obviously, this is just the beginning of artificial intelligence. This is going to just continue to get better and better and better. And it's going to become even more indistinguishable from human written content. So I think that's really interesting. So we've answered the question, can ChatGPT write a sermon for you? Now let's discuss just briefly, should ChatGPT write a sermon for you? I run a website that produces content on Bible study. And when I first saw this, I was really excited. I run ads on my website. The more content I can produce, the more Google searches I can appear in, the more ads I can run, the more money that I can make to support the ministry that I'm trying to do. So this excited me. But after considering it and thinking, is this something that's ethical? Is this something that would be good for the church versus bad for the church? I think my answer would be I would not be able to produce content that discussed Bible topics or Bible interpretation using ChatGPT. One of the main reasons, and this is just very surface obviously, but one of the main reasons is because ChatGPT right now, as I understand it, is just a conglomeration of, quote, authorities on biblical interpretation and what they've already written online. So it's taking a lot of information from people who are supposedly authoritative on these issues, and then it's basically rewriting that information. I could be wrong about the way that works, but that's the way I understand it right now. There's definitely a danger in that the people who ChatGPT decides are a biblical authority may not be the people who you believe are a biblical authority and are worth trusting, right? So rewriting their content into your own article that's not going to be a healthy way to go about Bible study, and you don't want to present that to other people as if it's something that you have come up with. Another danger that I see with this is that everyone's going to be drawing the same conclusions. There's not going to be a whole lot of original biblical interpretation happening, individual, unique minds working over the text, trying to figure out what it means, trying to figure out how it applies today. You're going to have kind of this hive mind situation if everyone's producing content with this. And I think that's definitely scary, even when you move out of the realm of Bible content or Bible interpretation. You just look at the kind of authority that this gives to certain people and the way that those certain people will appear in search or in answers to questions across all topics, right? So where's the bot going to get its answers, and is that really the place that we want to go to get our answers? Well, who controls that? Whoever runs the chat bot. So there's something scary going on there. Now, that said, and again, this is in no way it's not an in-depth critique of ChatGPT in any way, just some initial thoughts that I had. But I do also want to say that I don't think that the church should sleep on this. I think there will be applications for this in the church in creating content. Right? We're going to have to be very selective in the way that we use it. But just like when the internet came along, there were there's dangers in the internet, but there's also ways that we use it very productively, and it's benefited the church in a lot of ways. I'm able to reach people all around the world because of the internet that I would never be able to reach. I think ChatGPT and artificial intelligence in general should be looked at in a similar way, right? It's kind of a neutral. It can be used for good and it can be used for bad, and how it's used is going to be dependent on our choices and the ethical decisions that we make. I think the church should stay on top of this one and use it where it can, moving on into the future. The church is notoriously always behind in technology. There's always the joke that we're stuck in the 70s or the 90s, right? And we're using old technology that the world's always already, moving on and advancing from after they've gotten the most out of it. Well, I think churches here have an opportunity to step into something new and to learn about it, especially as we have a younger generation that is highly skilled, technologically speaking, very tech savvy. This is an opportunity for them to step up and say, here, I think that we can use this technology in these places, and we can do it ethically, and we can advance the kingdom and maybe get rid of a lot of the busy work that the church does and move on to more value-added stuff. So can ChatGPT write you a sermon? Yeah, it can. Can it write you a Bible class? Yeah, it can. Should it? Probably not. But I would encourage you to brainstorm where a technology like this could be used in the church so that we can stay ahead of the game, right? So we can reach more people with the gospel, so that we can get the gospel out to more places in the world, because the more I'm traveling around, the more I'm realizing that there's a lot of need, more need than I ever thought that there was when I lived back in the States, right? So not only reaching people in the States, which is where I'm from, but reaching people around the world. These technologies will help us to do that, and they can be used effectively and I think ethically in the kingdom. So that's my thoughts on ChatGPT. Hope you enjoyed. All right. Well, I'll be back with some more Bible studies by the end of the day, today and tomorrow. So until then, talk to you later.